Hello, TV fans. Welcome to another episode of Logan's Movie Reviews. And today we are talking about Snowfall, Season 3, Episodes 7 through 10. And I am joined once again by One Silva. How you doing, man?
Hey, good evening, Logan. Good evening as we continue our greatest episodes in television history with what I feel is today the single best television show on the planet, Snowfall, starring the amazing Dazan Idris. And by the way, I met the young man last year as I went to the Season 2 premiere that was held at the IFC Theater on West 4th Street in Manhattan. And the dude is humble. I mean, real humble dude and just a real nice guy and very tall. Now, you know, Logan, you and I are short. He's 6'2". And when you watch it on TV, I guess because he's slim, he doesn't look like that tall, but he's real tall.
Well, then
and
I mean,
a real nice guy. Yeah.
The guy who plays his uncle must be a monster.
They're the same height. Because he told me.
Okay, but he's
that,
just bigger.
But he's a Hulk. I mean, Danza told me he lifts like 350 to 400 pounds of weights.
Yeah, that dude should have been in the fucking wrestling world.
He's a monster. What movie you think he should have been in?
No, I mean, saying he should have been in the wrestling world, like been in a wrestling, because he would have made it big. But yeah, he's great. And where's he been? Have I seen him before? Has he been in anything else? His uncle?
His uncle? The only other thing I saw him before, there used to be a show, and I mean, you talk about beautiful black women. There's a writer who, Zane. She writes erotic novels for the African American community. She's an African American writer. Well, 5-6 years ago. Well, it might have been longer. It might have been 7-8 years ago. She had 3 seasons of a show called Zane Sex Chronicles, which I believe were based on her books, and he was the star of that show. And he got to lay down a lot of sexy women on that show. That's the only other thing I ever saw him in before Snowfall. And I'm glad he went from soft porn to network show that's just tremendous.
Yeah, and then the woman who plays his girlfriend or his wife, which happens to be
Angela Lewis, Uncle Louis, Aunt Louis, beautiful, beautiful woman. And this is the first time I've ever seen her in. I mean, she's had guest stars, starring appearance, and small roles, but this is her first major role. And it's funny, Damson had said in the press conference recently. Remember earlier this year, the L.A. Rap star Nipsey Hussle had been murdered outside his store.
Yeah.
Well, his common-law wife is Lauren London. People remember her. Remember this Christmas she played the real sexy sister of Chris Brown and Idris Elba on this Christmas. Well, she was supposed to play Aunt Louie, but she got pregnant and she had to turn the role down. And that's how Angela Lewis got the role. Yeah.
Lucky for her, man, because she's really one of the best.
And let me tell you something. This entire cast is tremendous. Dazan Idris is the star. He's the best actor in the show. But like you mentioned, Angela Lewis, Amin Joseph as her husband.
His mother.
Jerome. His mother, played by Michael Hyatt, who was tremendous on The Wire as Avon Barksdale's sister, Brianna. And this is like a different role because on The Wire, she was like she was all into she was into the drug dealing with her brother. Here, she's anti-drug. She, the first 2 seasons, she doesn't want anything to do with Franklin because he's selling drugs. She's tremendous. Her husband,
and then her husband,
played by the great Kevin Carroll, and you remember him from The Leftovers. Tremendous actor. And by the way, he has signed on to be in the new season of The Walking Dead. So, I mean, his career continues to flourish. Kevin Carroll from The Leftovers and Alton, Franklin's father.
Is that one black guy still on Walking Dead, the one with the stick?
He went to the other. He left to go to the spinoff, Fear of the Walking Dead.
He did?
Yeah, he's on Fear of the Walking Dead. Yeah, you talking
about
Morgan?
How the fuck did he end up there?
Yeah, well, there was an episode. They wrote him out of an episode where he says, "I'm leaving. I gotta get my head right." And then a week later, when Fear the Walking Dead started, he's there.
That's crazy.
Which
So
is
they're
crazy.
gonna have to meet. They're gonna have to cross those shows over.
Not necessarily, because Fear of the Walking Dead is in Los Angeles, and The Walking Dead is in Washington D.C., Richmond, Virginia. It originated in Atlanta, so they like East Coast, West Coast. So how the fuck he get all the way to L.A.? I don't know.
Yeah, too many zombies in between. Now, speaking of zombies, how close, when you see these people on crack, they're
let me
like
tell you
fucking,
something.
they
we
are
will
zombies.
get into this. We will get into this. And there was a great rap song that illustrated the analogy of zombies and crackheads. In 1988, one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, my favorite hip-hop album of all time, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back by the legendary group Public Enemy. They have a song on there called Night of the Living Bassheads, which was an analogy to Night of the Living Dead, where he portrays where in the video and in the song, he's talking about these crackheads walking around like they're zombies. And in the video, you see them looking like the zombies from Night of the Living Dead. And that's a perfect analogy. I grew up in this era. That's why I love this show, because it's so damn realistic. Rain Edwards, who plays the very beautiful Melody, Franklin's girlfriend, who will talk about what happens to her, she portrays this shit to the T. And I will get into, when we start discussing the show, I will personally talk about two things that happened in my personal life, two women that I dealt with who became hardcore crack addicts. And the way she portrays this is eerie. It's like, damn. Another great actress on the show, Rain Edwards, who plays Melody. The man who plays her father, tremendous actor, Marcus Henderson. Anybody who's seen Get Out, he was in Get Out. Marcus Henderson, tremendous as the cop who tries to do good, but there's nothing he can do, and just everything goes wrong for him. And oh my God, just
he's the ultimate tragic figure.
Yeah, and he's just trying to do things right by his daughter, by his community, by the police. It just
you can tell he even feels for the fact that they're being brutal on his people. Like, he feels bad about it.
It's a no. You hit the nail on the head, Logan. It's a no-win situation for Andre, and we'll discuss that as we get into the show. But just a tremendous cast. There's nobody in. Connor Hudson as Teddy Reed, the Reed Thompson, the CIA agent who helps bring the cocaine into the government. He is tremendous as a CIA agent. He's tremendous.
Great acting.
His name is Sergio. It's hard to pronounce. I forgot his last two names. The guy who plays Gustavo. He's tremendous. As
he plays a wrestler.
He's a wrestler a luchador at first, who becomes a drug dealer.
It's weird how he doesn't even pursue the wrestling. In 3 seasons, we haven't seen him do one fucking lick of wrestling.
Because he's making that money as a drug dealer. Why the fuck go back to wrestling?
Yeah.
And
but,
the woman who plays his girlfriend, people remember her from Breaking Bad, Emily Rios as Lucia, and she's good. But she wasn't on this season. I don't understand why, but she was on the first 2 seasons as her and
she'll be
Gustavo.
coming back. She's coming back in the 4th season.
Well, we'll see, because she wasn't on at all this season, and that was not necessarily that's not necessarily what could happen, because the show got renewed a few weeks ago. Last month it got renewed. The way they ended this season, which was smart, and I think a lot of shows should do this, they ended this season as though they weren't sure they were going to get picked up, because remember, the creator of the show, John Singleton, died 6-7 months ago. And so the future of the show was in doubt. But this show, because of the high praise, and it's one of the highest rated, if not the highest rated show on FX, FX turned around and said, we're renewing you for a 4th season. So maybe she comes back. I don't know. She's always working. I think she might be in a series right now. That woman has been steadily working since Breaking Bad.
We should say, though, the craziest thing about this show, and the reason why this show is actually maybe even better, dare I say, than Breaking Bad, is that it's real. It's
Yeah,
not.
you got a great point there. Breaking Bad, when
It's
Breaking Bad
fantasy.
first started, when Breaking Bad first started, like Power, it's a perfect example. Breaking Bad is a better show than Power, but when Breaking Bad and Power first started, it was more character driven and less fantasy. You know, the man's dealing with with a fatal disease, and he's trying to make enough money to A, try to save himself, and or B, to provide for his family after he dies. But then you have where he's making bombs out of sticks and shit. Blowing shit up. It got out of hand. The reason why Snowfall eventually, if they continue, will be a better show than Breaking Bad. And I'm not saying it's better than Breaking Bad right now, because Breaking Bad is one of the 5 greatest shows of all time. Snowfall's on his way. Snowfall is based on reality, like you said, Logan. Great point. Breaking Bad is like a cartoon version, just like Power,
Right.
of a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Snowfall is like The Wire. The Wire was based on true life events, just like Snowfall is. The Wire was based on the heroin crisis in Baltimore, and based on real life drug dealers. Matter of fact, one of the consultants of the show, Little Melvin, was the biggest heroin dealer in Baltimore for years before he went to prison. And one of the creators of the show, what was the cop's name? I forgot the cop. Not David Simon. He was a crime writer, but David Simon was partnered with somebody. I forgot his name. That was a detective that McNulty's based on. Well, he put Little Melvin away. When Little Melvin came out of prison, he started working with David Simon and the police officer, and he was a consultant. He even played a character on The Wire. So The Wire and Snowfall are based on true events. Breaking Bad and Power? No, not at all.
Yeah, so when you look at this thing, that the setup for this show is essentially what, if you tell somebody the story of what this show is based on, it sounds like a fucking conspiracy theory, but it's true. The CIA wanted to fund the Nicaraguan Contras against the Sandinistas, so they couldn't get money from Congress, so they basically, in a half-ass way, authorized certain agents to just go rogue, set up their own operation, make money through, and I'm sure that he wasn't the only one doing this. Like, it was probably him.
Well,
this is just one example, right?
For listeners of this program, or if you're new listeners, go to our archives of the listeners of this program. Remember, we reviewed a movie called Kill the Messenger, which starred Jeremy Renner as Gary Webb. Gary Webb in 1996 exposed all of what we see in Snowfall going on. Dabs and Indra Franklin is loosely based on Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross, who was the biggest crack dealer in South Central in the early to mid 80s. And Rick Ross wound up going to jail, and it was Gary Webb that, when he visited him in prison, said, "Hey, these people that brought you down, they were working for the CIA." And the great Michael Way Williams plays Freeway Ricky Ross in the movie. Freeway Ricky Ross is out right now, and he talks about everything in several interviews. He's been on The Breakfast Club, Drink Champs.
You're saying that's
documentary.
Franklin Saint?
That's what Franklin Saint is loosely based on, because they changed a lot of things. Rick Ross was illiterate. Franklin Saint could have been a Rhodes Scholar. So they changed some things. They changed, but
right.
The origin of the crack, the CIA, all that, that's all Rick Ross's story right there. That they inputted into the show.
Yeah. So let's just do the setup here. So he's this. And you should watch the show. Don't listen to this.
Do not listen. Right now, if you're listening to this without watching the show, cut it off, because this is all spoilers. We're going to do the entire 3 seasons. While we're focusing on 7 through 10, Logan is about to give you the background of the first 2.5 seasons. Cut it off. And this show is like The Wire. It's like Breaking Bad. It's like Power. It's like Empire. You can't watch. You just can't. There's no standalone episodes. This is a serial drama. Goes from the beginning to now.
And there's
every
no fluff.
episode, So you turn off this program right now. Go listen to. As a matter of fact, go listen to one of our old shows. One of the old movies that we did, Fresh, or one of them other movies. Get off of this. Go ahead, Logan.
Yeah. Oh no, go listen to the Jeremy Renner
Kill the Messenger
show.
Yeah, Kill
the Messenger,
which is a tremendous movie.
But anyway, so the CIA trying to fund the Nicaraguan rebels to fight ostensibly communism. Here we have this guy, this lowly CIA agent who's been exiled to some post in L.A. and all of a sudden something falls into his lap. Some guy who was the original, I guess, CIA guy doing this was partying with a bunch of people, drug dealers, and he's getting some coke pushed up his ass, I think, or something, and like it gets, he ODs, and they have, and the guy who handles it is this Henry Cavill Mexican-looking guy, who.
No, he's not Mexican. He's Nicaraguan.
Yeah, no, right, but I'm saying
with the guy with. Yeah.
He looks Mexican. I mean, he looks like one of these good-looking Mexican guys, like Alberto Del Rio.
He's definitely a pretty boy. You're damn right about that. Yeah.
He looked like Henry Cavill as a Spaniard or whatever. But so he's sitting there. He cleans everything up. He murders a bunch of girls, and then I guess if does it fall to him to investigate it? Because he's in the area or something, so to figure out what happened.
Oh yeah.
And I think he ends up he sees it as, he's like, I want to assume this op. I want to be the guy.
That's his opportunity. That's his opportunity to get out of the basement. Basically, they got him in the basement of the CIA.
Yeah, and they make it clear throughout the show it's something that happened in Iran, or something that had to do with, was it Iran or Iraq? I mean, it was some bullshit that happened in Afghanistan or Iraq or somewhere.
No. Are you talking about? No. This something did happen. This is 1983. The show begins in 83. That was Lebanon. The bombing in Lebanon.
Yeah, well, whatever. Something he had been exiled for some bullshit that happened.
Oh no,
in the
my bad. They bring that up in the movie, right? Teddy was an operative in Iran.
Right, and something went down. Probably had to do with the hostage crisis or something.
Remember, in 1979,
right,
Iran was overthrown, and the Shah of Iran was overthrown, and the Shah of Iran was the CIA United States puppet leader in Iran.
Right.
They were getting the oil cheap because this motherfucker was in power in Iran. The people revolted, and the Ayatollah Khomeini took over. And right after the Shah was exiled, he took the American hostages.
Right. And that's and it was weird because they also made deals with Iran. I remember later on in the 80s.
Well, Iran is part of this whole CIA conspiracy because they bought arms from Iran to give to the Contras. That's why it was the Iran Contra scandal.
And that's why you had Avi, who plays the Israeli arms dealer. He gets in trouble with the Israeli government because somebody starts blackmailing him.
Because he sold arms to the radical Islamics.
Right, by accident, because he thought he did it through an intermediary and inadvertently went to some group that was attacking Israel. So he was in trouble and all in deep, but he's the arms supplier because after a while it dries up. They can't even get arms from the United States because it's too traceable. So none of the arms can come from the United States. So they're getting them from China, from wherever the fuck they can, Taiwan, anywhere they can get them. And so meanwhile they're flooding coke into this one area of LA. And because the coke doesn't sell well to the people on the street, is like let's backtrack. Let's backtrack for a second. Anybody who remembers the 70s and the 80s, and I'm old enough to remember both decades. I'm 51 years old. Cocaine was always, and it still is to this day, the rich man's drug.
the
Right.
rich man's drug. So you can't flood an urban area where a large portion of the population is living under the poverty line.
Right.
They can't afford to buy this cocaine. They can
Right.
buy that weed. Weed's $5. Yeah, nickel bags, dime bags, but they're not going to be able to afford to buy cocaine. So that's when Franklin turns around. He goes to Oakland, California, and meets up with this pharmacist, played by the great RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan, who teaches him how to cook the rock, which eventually becomes known as crack. When Franklin starts selling that, the rock, soon to be crack, it's affordable. People that want to do coke, I'll buy this rock. No one knew, though, that crack cocaine was much more addictive than cocaine itself.
Yeah, and it's also much more. It's a better high for the shorter period, so it condenses the whole coke high into maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So you're coming back for more right away, and you're doing anything you can to get it. You're stealing, robbing. Yep. You become a zombie for that shit. Like the minute you take it. So I remember that was the one thing that really scared me away from it, because they're like, you take one hit and you're a slave.
I didn't know any. I had 2 ex-girlfriends. The mother of my son and a girlfriend before him. That once they started, it was a wrap. They were done. My son's mother today has brain cancer and full-blown AIDS. The other young lady died of full-blown AIDS at 27 years old, because not only are they stealing, lying, they're selling their ass too. They're performing fellatio just to get that crack.
Yeah, like we see this one girl, Melanie's friend,
Wanda. Leon's ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
She's like completely. I mean, she's a pretty clean-cut chick. She's a little partier, She likes to have fun, snort some coke. But when she tries that rock, she becomes a full-on zombie bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Totally changes completely, and she's with the right-hand man of
Leon.
the main guy.
Leon.
Yeah, Leon.
And played by Isaiah John, who does another tremendous actor. This is his first major role. Before he got this role, he might have done a couple of film shorts. He never had a movie role or a major series until he did this show. John Singleton John Singleton, rest in peace to the brother, always had a great eye for talent. And I mean, the people he put in this show, he perfectly casted every individual.
Yeah, so he's his
enforcer.
Yeah, he's like the right hand man, but he also had this other dude who was his right hand man. Basically, this dude who, what did he want to do? Like he wanted to.
Oh, you talking about Kevin?
Yeah, something happened. Yeah. Like they had a rift.
Well.
Oh, that's right. He didn't take revenge.
Kevin's cousins were murdered by the Mexicans.
That's right.
Right? Because Franklin and Jerome had told those guys, stay off the Mexican corners. They were selling the crack in a Mexican territory in East L.A. You don't do that. And they were murdered. I mean, and Franklin was like, they were wrong. I'm not going to retaliate for what we did. I'm not going to start a war. Which Franklin was right.
But it's because it's
Franklin
family.
told those guys to stay out, but Kevin was like, oh, it's family. So Kevin makes a deal with Gustavo and Lucia I will sell you the recipe for the crack if you tell me where these guys are so I can kill them. And so in this episode, Franklin finds out where Kevin is and tries to stop Kevin from killing the guy. When the guy won't stop, Franklin kills him.
Right.
Franklin kills Kevin. And Franklin goes to prison. Another great episode, Season 2, Episode 10, the series finale.
It was
Franklin's
directed
in
by
prison.
Singleton.
Directed by John Singleton, and this episode is as good as the last four we're going to talk about. In this episode, he is abused, he is beaten up, he is robbed in prison, and he doesn't know what to do. He's scared. He's on his own until finally Leon and Uncle Jerome visit him, and they tell him, you go in there, you fuck the first dude up you see. You tell him, I know where your family is. I will kill you. I will kill your family. As soon as he gets that, he goes in there, punches the guy that stole the sneakers, grabs the sneakers. Then he goes to the guy who's been beating him up and says, look, you keep this shit up, I know your family. The guy's like, you bluffing. It's like, oh, you live on such and such and such and such and such and such, right? And they left him the fuck alone. And Franklin gets out, and because of Aunt Louie going to Teddy and telling Teddy, please, get him out of prison. He's Franklin's special. And Teddy knows this because Franklin is making him a lot of money.
Yeah.
Teddy gets released. Teddy gets Franklin released, and his record sealed. His conviction sealed. And that's when a light came on, and Franklin was like, this motherfucker got me out of prison like nothing. There's something up with him. And at the end of season 2, he tells Aunt Louie, I think our friend Reed Thompson, who's
worked for the
same
government,
guy, Teddy, is a CIA operative, and he's got all these articles, Time Magazine, Newsweek, about the war in Nicaragua. See, Franklin, the highest score you can get on an SAT is 1,600. Franklin scored a 1,540 on his SAT. The man is a genius. And so, like a lot of inner city intelligent kids do, they can't make it in the corporate world, or they turn their intelligence to crime. Franklin is running like one of the cops said, $1 million a week selling this drug. He easily could be running a Fortune 500 company with his brains, with unbelievable intelligence.
The central feature, though, of this guy Franklin is that he does what needs to be done, no matter what the fuck consequence or family or whatever. He's a cold thinking motherfucker. He never lets emotion get into it. He does what needs to be done.
He reminds me of Michael Corleone. This is the closest I've ever seen a TV character portray the Godfather's Michael Corleone, Al Pacino's Michael Corleone.
Right.
There are several scenes that we'll
Kill
get
his
into
own brother.
where he acts just like Michael Corleone. He killed Kevin. Kevin's his best friend. He killed Kevin. That's his best friend, but he had to do it in order to save his business.
And that's why when
go ahead.
No, that's why when his father's talking about how he had to kill his own brother, the guy that worked for that they thought he was in the Black Panthers, and they thought he was in the had talked to the feds, and the feds put out the word that he did.
But he did. Alton's cousin was an operative for the feds, and to try to bring the Black Panthers down with him. So his father knew that they would have tortured him. He was a man with no country, so he killed his cousin out of mercy to save him from the torture.
It was his brother. Okay, it was his cousin.
No, it was his cousin. Yeah.
But still, exactly. But when he heard about it, he's like, "You did what had to be done." Like it was, like it needed to be done. Like, so that's the thing about him is that, and you see what happens when he goes to jail. Like, when he gets shot and he's out of commission for a long time, the whole fucking shit starts to fall apart. So we realize.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that because that's episode 10. We'll get to that.
I'm just talking about his character. His character is needed to keep all this shit running. Like he is the glue of like cold-heartedness that keeps this shit together.
He's
the FBI guy.
He's the
the CIA guy.
Him and the CIA. If you take one of those guys out the equation, the whole shit collapses and anarchy occurs, as you see in the final episode of season 3.
So this motherfucker. Let's go back to the CIA guy because I think he's fascinating. This whole thing where
he's him and Franklin are the two most fascinating characters on the show, as it should be, because those are the two stars of the show.
Yeah, they both are like Frank White characters because they're both going deeper and deeper into this dark hole that like it's the same way that Frank does in Breaking Bad. Like he starts off pretty innocent, just like, oh, I
Oh,
just
you
want
talking
to
about
do this
Walter?
thing.
No, you're getting Walter White confused with Frank White. Frank White was from King of New York.
Right,
Christopher
right, right.
Walter.
Sorry.
Walter White is
Walter.
Bryan Cranston.
Right. Walter White. So Walter White is like fucking, getting deeper and deeper into this, and these guys are, I think, that's why I think this show is so much like Breaking Bad because they're both sort of going in that direction, and they're biting off more than they can chew each time, but then they're ending up dealing with it. And so you have this CIA guy who he ends up with this crazy dude from Nicaragua that's kind of partnering up with him, and turns out to be this dude is a fucking cold-blooded killer, and remember that one girl's looking for her sister who actually died when the first CIA guy overdosed because she got shot by this the dude from Nicaragua, the guy that's making the deal, trying to get the guns to his people. That guy ends up just completely fucking. Um, remember, he just kills everybody in sight, and after a while, the CIA guy just shoots him. Yeah, let me get you back on. Okay,
Oh yeah.
right?
All right, go ahead. Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
No, but you hear that
Yeah,
like when I was talking
I
about
heard
this.
about
Yeah,
the Nick when they killed the girl, and then he wound up killing the sister, and that's when Teddy had to kill him.
yeah, like Teddy just, it was enough. This dude was just, because you know why? Because the dude was on TV. She had already, I think, even, I don't know if she, I think she, at that point, didn't go to the police yet. Only she had his information, and he killed her actually at the right time. And it was the only choice, but he had developed, I don't know, he felt like she was like, I think he kind of liked her.
He can handle it without her having to die, but you're right. I don't know if she liked him. I don't know if he felt sorry for her. He had she was a plain Jane. She wasn't a Teddy is like Franklin in that he likes much more attractive women. This woman wasn't attractive. Teddy's wife is attractive, not
Yeah.
this woman. She was a
No,
plain Jane.
but in any case,
But she definitely dig Teddy. She had a thing for Teddy.
yeah, they were just, he thought he could protect her, and he kept trying to like, and he was trying to fend this dude off of her, like, because he wanted to kill her.
He was trying to get her out of town too, I believe.
Right, he was just trying to get her off the case to try to figure out a way to just make her accept that her sister's gone or whatever. But she was never going to give it up. This guy had to kill her, and he did. But then that just was too much for Teddy to take. But then later on, when Gustavo murders that fucking DEA agent that, starts helping them out after, he's like, I didn't kill her because she was she was working as a double agent. I killed her because she pretended to love us. Gustavo, man, he's the one.
No, Gustavo killed her because out of revenge of what happened in season 2.
Yeah, I know, but he had a line. That's what I'm saying. He's like, I didn't kill her because she was a DA agent. I killed her because she pretended to love us, and it's like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, but that was the season before where she was trying to she was Pedro's girlfriend, and so she was undercover as Pedro's girlfriend in the whole nine, and she was going to bring Lucia and Gustavo. That matter of fact, Gustavo had gotten arrested.
Now the whole Gustavo storyline is crazy too because he's this dude who just, now we have to talk about the supply chain here. So let's talk about the role that Gustavo and his and the Villanuevas they play in this. They're the ones that
they funnel the cocaine from Mexico to the United States. You're right. Yeah.
So they get the drugs to Reed, and then Reed packages it up and gives it to Mr. Franklin, Mr. Saint. So they end up. Yeah. So then that's the cycle here. So they never really meet, And then at first the supplier was Avi, this Israeli guy, But then eventually, when Avi gets locked up, and we don't know whether Avi's himself some kind of weird informant himself, because you don't know what he told the government. All of a sudden, he's out, and so he's suspicious already. But when he's in,
But he's got two things working for him. Avi's been with the CIA, Teddy, and
right,
he's an Israeli. And we all
right,
know that Israeli nationalists in this country get special privileges.
especially if they're in the intelligence service, like so.
Exactly. And he's an arms dealer. So
Right.
he probably got out before they put the cuffs on. He was
The whole point is this guy just he's another great character. Just that whoever.
I forgot I apologize for the actor who played Avi. He's a tremendous actor. I love this guy. He is tremendous. He's like comic relief in a very serious show. There's not too many funny moments in the show, very few, but 99.9% of them is involving Javi.
Well, he's got good competition now from the guy who plays the
Nicaraguan drug lord. Yes.
the
yes,
Colombian. No, the Colombian drug
No, he's
lord.
Colombian. My bad. The Colombian drug lord. Yeah, he's funny.
He's too funny, and so there's this whole other side story of how the Villanuevas there was a power struggle within that family, and how Lucia took over it by basically killing everybody right when her father.
Well, she had her uncle was the drug lord, and she had him assassinated.
Right, but she waited for her father to be dead. And then the minute her father died, she just had everyone killed, but her cousin ran away.
Except for Pedro.
Right.
Pedro, because she loved Pedro like a brother. Pedro's her first cousin. Pedro's father was assassinated, but they got Pedro out of there, and then Pedro, out of revenge for his father's murder, teamed up. Wait, man, I forgot the bitch's name. The DEA, whatever her name is. What's her name?
I don't remember.
You remember her name?
Yes. No.
All right, yeah, the no booty, big nose bitch. All right, she teamed up with Pedro to bring down Lucia and Gustavo.
And it was like Gustavo always ends up, kind of sexing up Lucia, and they end up getting together. So there's that relationship that takes off. But Gustavo's a great character in this, and that actor hasn't really done anything, right?
Look, Emily Rios is the only part of the Mexican part of the story. This is a 3-part storyline. There's 3 parts to it. There's Franklin, there's Teddy, and there's Gustavo and Lucia. Now it's just Gustavo. The only person I saw from the Mexican, that part of the storyline, is Emily Rios as Lucia. Oh, I'm sorry. The dude who played her uncle, Pedro's father, he's acted for years. Matter of fact, he played the detective that brought down Giancarlo Esposito in another movie we reviewed, Fresh. Remember, he had a great line. He said, "Hey, next time you see the light, you'll be looking like fucking Rick Van Winkle." Yeah, Jose Zuniga. Him and Emily Rios were the only 2 people in that part of the storyline that I've seen before. The rest could just be the great eye for talent that the late legendary John Singleton had.
So anyway, they've solidified up now because she was targeted by forget who ended up going after her. Was it who shot?
It was the guy she paid. Is the guy she paid to kill? Is the gang that she paid to kill Pedro's father?
Oh, that's right. Okay, and they ended up turning on her.
Yeah.
Okay, so they turned on her, but Gustavo saved him. We think that Gustavo's dead at the end of season 2. That he basically sacrificed his life.
They didn't even show you. You don't see nothing. You don't know. And then at the end of season 2, Lucia puts a bullet in Pedro's head, and she walks away forever. You don't see her again.
Right. So then she's gone, and maybe she had a money dispute, She probably wanted more money, and they're like, "Fuck you, we'll just write you out of here, or we'll just leave it open."
She probably went to John Singleton and said, "Look, I have the biggest name of anybody on the show, but I'm getting the least amount of money, and I'm one of the stars. I should be getting more." And John Singleton's like, "Let me think about that for a second. All right, thought about it already. All right, you can go."
Or just like, you know what, we're not going to use you this season, maybe next. But then that kind of gives him like leverage. But the point is,
Well,
there.
but I got to give John Singleton credit. He could have easily killed her off the show. He left the door
Right.
open for her character and her to come back, which is the
Right.
classic thing to do. And maybe you're right. Maybe we'll see her in season 4. Right now, she's not needed. There's no need for her. There's
You
no
know who
need
I
for
think?
her at all.
You know who I think might come back is I think Kevin might come back. I think Kevin's not dead. I think.
Kevin's dead. Oh,
Oh, you
you know
think
what?
so?
There was never a funeral.
Yeah.
Right. Where's the body?
Not only that, but it just seemed like, oh yeah, you killed him by shooting him in the leg. Like he had
He
an
was
artery.
shot. He was shot in the leg and then he bled out. He died.
Yeah. Like that's fucking 1 in a million, dude. So I didn't buy it. I thought they were lying, but then it kind of turned out that it was true. So maybe it's true.
Well, maybe Teddy's got him locked up somewhere. For as an insurance policy.
Yeah, the replacement for Franklin.
Don't worry about it. If Saint fucks up, you're gonna be my next call up.
So many damn things happen. I mean, he gets locked up, then he gets, like you said, he gets let out. This CIA guy intervenes, and he's able to, anytime the FBI or the DEA or any other agency gets close to, any other law enforcement gets close to these guys, the people on his supply chain.
Well, if you look at the food chain in the U.S. government when it comes to agencies, when it comes to law enforcement agencies, the food chain is, and the FBI is on top of them, and what trumps them all is the CIA.
Right, because they deal with international, and they're operating on a certain above level.
Now, they're not supposed to operate in the United States, but they do all the time. As
of course, they have to.
of what happened. Yeah.
I mean, they are. I mean, there is a concern about them, but the fact is, I mean, if they're able to do this shit, they're doing a whole lot of other shit we don't even know about. So, surprised about a lot of stuff, but this stuff just sounds like so out of. It sounds like somebody's like talking about knocking down the Twin Towers or some shit like that. Like it's so. I mean, even that looks like could be a conspiracy, but I'm just saying, like the idea that the U.S. government would facilitate the bringing in of crack to the inner cities and like not think about it. I mean, my question is, I've always thought it was like, oh, they wanted to give crack and fuck up the inner cities, like, but I don't know about that. Maybe they just wanted the money and this is how they went about getting it. Like, what is your interpretation of? Do you think
this country has always used people of color, specifically African Americans, black people, as guinea pigs for experiments, whether it be HIV, whether it be tuberculosis? The whole thing in the it was a great movie. The Tuskegee experiment, which is a true story of how they.
Right. No, I heard about that.
Yes, there was a movie starring the great Lawrence Fishburne about it. There has been a lot. They always do. So, yeah, I believe that it was twofold. It was a way to help keep a certain population down, and in the meantime, fund a war that they wound up losing anyway.
What's really weird is that they didn't even like. The idea that they were gonna bring it. I don't know what they're thinking, man. This is just like the epidemic that this caused is so much worse than I think they predicted. I think they just figured, oh, a few people get high on this rock, what's the big deal? But then I don't think they thought about the violence that would occur
Look at the damage that crack cocaine did. It helped spiral HIV/AIDS out of control because you had all these women that were and men too that were hooked up and started selling themselves just to get high. You had the guns that the violence with the gangs that that they will explore next season. The final episode of this season is a precursor to the next season, and the gang wars. I mean, that drug, because of so much money was involved, that gangs were executing each other left and right to take over territories to sell the crack. And then you had the crack addicted babies that were born. You had the many men that went to jail for years for selling crack. The women that lost their children because they were crack addicted and couldn't take care of their children because they were getting fucked up all the time. And so to this day, 35 years later, after the epidemic first started, you still see the effects of this drug in 2 generations later.
Yeah, and I think it kind of just was this thing where also they're like, oh, we got to unload this coke, and the only way to unload it is, and this guy comes up with this idea to sell the coke faster because, when he first got the coke from Avi, it was like, you got to sell this in 24 hours, or you got to sell this in 1 week, or and he had to meet this deadline.
I think he gave him 48 hours, and so he sold it to this woman he knew that owned the club.
Yeah. Now this woman who owns the club, this reminds me of like something they did in the Power Man movie that we watched, the Luke Cage movie.
Luke Cage. She's sort of like the Alfred Woodard character, Luke Cage.
Yes.
No, not Alfred Woodard. Her aunt.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just thought this woman, like, when she's taking this drug, and he instantly ups the price. It's Avi gives it to him for $13. He's just like it's $16, so he's making $3,000 off this deal.
I forgot this actress's name, but when she dies in season 3, she takes her robe off, and for a 55 to 60-year-old woman, she's got a spectacular ass.
I didn't catch that.
You gotta go back to it.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway,
he deals with it.
Yeah. So she's a madam. She's got prostitutes. She got a whole little thing, and she even has police officers on her payroll.
Yeah. And she's got a little bit of influence, but even just trying to sell to her, like, she's not gonna take on a couple of more than a couple keys a week,
Right.
Not that much to sell to people. And then you have, what I forget what happens when, like, I remember at one point he gets beat up by a couple of dudes.
Okay,
he
gets beat up by a couple of dudes that work for her.
Right.
And so this goes on a whole thing where he's trying to get the money back. He needs the money back, and he finds out who does it, and he hires a guy to get the money back. But then that guy,
right, keeps the money.
rapes one of the guys in one of the most graphic scenes in the history of television. It reminds me of when Ving Rhames got butt fucked in Pulp Fiction. That was how graphic it was. And then he takes the money, and then they wound up having to go after him and have to kill him to get the money back.
Yeah, that was a crazy sequence, man, because it upped the ante. He had to get the money back or he'd be dead. And he was like just about to, he made his money and he was all happy, and then these motherfuckers jump him, take his money. I thought that was a great little tense sequence. That was probably season 1, probably, right? And
that
then,
was the first season. That was the main plot for Franklin in season 1. Getting the guys that stole his money, and then getting the guy that stole the money from the guys, and then wound up killing the guy, and he wound up getting the money. And there was,
he never did it though, right? He didn't kill him.
No, it was either Leon or Kevin that killed him, right?
No, he made that one dude.
He made one of the guys that was working with the guy. Right. The dude who had him beat up in prison at the end of season 2.
Right. And then when he finds
Yeah.
that dude in prison, that dude gets his revenge.
Yeah.
Now, so anyway, so now we're back. We're basically caught up here. We're at the season. We should talk about Melody. Melody played by the lovely.
Rain, the very beautiful Rain Edwards, who's a 3-time Emmy-nominated actress on, is it As the World Turns? It's either As the World Turns or Young and the Restless. She's a soap opera veteran, and 23 years old. She's been on the show for the last 5-6 years. Tremendous actress. Yeah. This is her first major role outside the soaps, and she killed it. She's the next door neighbor, Officer Andre Wright's daughter, the next door neighbor to the Saints, and her and Franklin grew up together. They grew up, and you have a mutual attraction. She's the girl next door. She's the prototype, the girl next door. Beautiful girl, very smart. She's been accepted to Spelman.
Right.
Yeah, Spelman bound. The good girl, a virgin until Franklin takes it in the first episode of season 2. She loses her virginity. They both lose. No, he doesn't lose his virginity to her because before he has sex with her, there's a party in season 2, episode 1, where he's banging a couple of chicks at a party that his uncle's throwing. But
that's right.
She loses her virginity to Franklin, and so they're together. Season 3, it starts off with they're at a party. Uncle Jerome just opened up an auto mechanic store, right? Jam and Jerome's. And in that Melody goes to the party, and Franklin's like, "Hey, I forgot to give you your gift," and he gives her like $5,000-$10,000.
Yeah.
He puts it in her hand. So you don't have to work this summer. Take it off.
Well, that's another thing is.
Yeah.
She knows. I mean, her father, who's a cop, knows he's a drug dealer and does not want her to have anywhere near him.
Her father was the one who told the cops where he was when he was wanted for murder.
Right. So this motherfucker, wants them to have nothing to do with each other. So she obeys her father and stays away from Franklin for the most part. Also, she doesn't want to deal with him. She knows he's a drug dealer, and she's a good girl. And she doesn't want to really be involved with him, though she has attraction to him. So,
but she still has sex with him throughout the beginning of the season.
Yeah, he keeps coming to her window.
He came to a window, had sex with her, and then he had sex with her at the skating rink.
Right.
And in that episode was the one where I knew she was going to become a crackhead because while after they have sex, she takes out some cocaine and sniffs it, and he's like, "What's that about?" You see the eyes, you see, just something to take. Once you see that, you know. These a great show, Logan. All the great shows in history of television, they don't put his door. They don't just put shit like that. The show is bad when you see a guy getting drunk, like Power. Power's a perfect example. Power has lost a lot of credibility with me for one reason. James St. Patrick was written as a recovering alcoholic. Every once in a while, he takes a drink, and then he goes weeks without taking another drink. And then that's a throwaway scene. Get the fuck. Why you putting that in there? The fuck. He's a recovering alcoholic. He's not supposed to be drinking. All right, so now he's drinking. Now he should be getting fucked up and no. He's a controlled alcoholic. Get the fuck out of here.
They did that once, right? Remember when
they did it again this season.
Fell off.
Yeah. Well, one time he did fall off and he went on a killing spree, right? But this time he's just drinking and they forget about it. In Snowfall, like all great shows, when she does that line, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. It's a prelude to what's going to happen in the future. That's the beginning of the end for Melody. And, Franklin's looking at her like, what the fuck? But he dismisses it because he loves the girl. But that right there,
Well, the funny thing is, too, is that if the cop had just allowed her to be with Franklin, he wouldn't have let her ever do crack. Like he would never let her do it.
You can't blame Officer Wright. He knows Franklin is. I mean, you do the same thing. If you had the power, you try to bring him down too. That's you would do it. What he should have done, to be honest with you, by the law, he should have just had Franklin killed. Had one of the cops friends. Like white cops get away with all the time. Yeah, beat him down, kill him, and then that's the only problem with that though, Logan, is now there's always somebody to replace him. Well, maybe the guy won't be with your daughter though, but you're gonna have to be fighting somebody else.
Yeah, and the thing about it is we'll see is when Franklin's out the picture, all hell breaks loose. This motherfucker's
Yeah,
holding shit
exactly.
down. So as
Yes,
bad as
yes.
it is, it could be worse. So Franklin is he maintains a distance from her also because he understands he doesn't want to get that cop too riled up on his ass. So he fucks with the guy and he does also kinds of shit to this dude like to mess with him and eventually gets him suspended by virtue of a plan. The sister.
He wasn't going to fuck with Andre until Andre set the rein and had his uncle beat. Oh man, Uncle Jerome was giving it to his wife, giving it to the sexy Angela
Yeah.
Lewis, just fucking the shit out of her when the police raid happened and they beat the shit out of Jerome, almost choke him to death. And Andre's like, come on, hold up. And Andre sees that, damn, what did I do? What you said earlier on the show, Logan, it's damn that I do, damn that I don't. He's dealing with two evils here. He's while his intentions are good, he's part of the most racist police force outside of New York City on the planet, right? The LAPD. They'll shoot you first, ask questions later. Then he's got Franklin he's trying to bring down. That's bringing this rock into the community, and he sees all these people walking around like zombies. Who the fuck could he trust? And he saw it right then and there and they were going to manhandle Louis, and he was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I thought Jerome was getting killed right then and there.
Me too.
I was shocked they let him live.
Yeah, I thought so too.
So that was Franklin. Then Franklin sets up Andre with the prostitute as revenge, and the prostitute still, and poor Andre, he meets this chick at a bar, takes her to a hotel room, and he knows his dick is hard. He knows he's getting some ass. Yeah, he takes a drink, falls asleep, wakes up the next morning, his badge, his gun, his wallet gone, and he's fully dressed, so he never got the ass.
Right.
And then he winds up getting suspended because of his actions.
Right, and the thing about it is he finds out too that because he's a black cop, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt or anything.
Exactly.
And there's one scene where he gets he looks like he's getting arrested and busted by these cops, but they're just hazing him.
He's chasing Franklin, trying to find out where Franklin lives, and he gets pulled over, and he tries to tell the cops, "I'm a cop," and they pull him out the car. And they're about to beat the shit out of him until they call in and find out he is a cop, and they're like, "Oh, that's the guy that got his gun and badge stolen by a hooker."
No, so why did they pull him over in the first place? I thought it was.
I don't know, broken taillight or some shit.
Oh, the whole thing was a one big haze, but maybe not.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he gets So he's just after a while he's so humiliated by this guy that he just has I think Franklin miscalculates here by fucking with him so much. It's just like why needle a guy?
Logan, all this leads to season 3, episode 7, the first episode we'll review, and that's the episode where Rain Edwards puts on a once-in-a-lifetime Emmy award-winning performance as episode 6 ended with her smoking the crack for the first time, and the way her eyes rolled in the back of her head, you couldn't ask for a better portrayal of a person getting high off a crack for the first time. So episode 7 is the search for Melody.
Right. So.
And the episode is called Season 3, Episode 7, Pocket Full of Rocks.
So the setup is her father keeps wanting to get her out of that area and to Spelman sooner rather than later. But because she gets beat up by a bunch of homegirls who are taking revenge for the bust that Jerome put into motion, her father, she's just like doesn't want to get there until her face is healed up. So he offers to take her on a cross country trip, and in the meantime her face will get healed, but he wants to get her out of there. But it's the night before, they're gonna leave, and she's like, well, I gotta pack and I want to go to this party. And because they've been fighting and stuff like that, the father, kind of reluctantly lets her go. And she ends up going to a party, meeting up with one dude, and they're fooling around, and they see some dudes like in the same room smoking crack. And she's just like, oh, maybe we should get some weed. And he's like, no, no, let's do this. This shit, it looks like a really good high. And she's just like, all right, we'll do it together. And that's when you see her take it, man. It's just like, no, as the audience, you're just like, please, like, this is the one innocent girl in this whole scene, and like,
you see her eyes roll in the back of her head, and right then and there, it's over. And so episode 7 is just
she's lost.
Her. She's lost, and she's doing anything she can to get this shit. And Franklin is looking all over the city for her.
Yeah, so he wakes up. Her father wakes up after getting fucked with by these cops and just, feeling bad for himself. He's not even paying attention what's happening. He falls asleep in front of the TV. Mel's not home yet, and he wakes up at like 6 in the morning, and his key is gone, his car is gone, and Mel's nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, he had found a bunch of cash in her suitcase earlier. I don't know if Melody got that.
That was the cash that was the cash that I mentioned. That was the cash that Franklin gave her at the episode 1 during the party at Jerome's when he said.
I know. I just didn't know if she grabbed it. I think she left it there. I think the money was gone.
She took some money out of there to buy rocks, as they showed the flashback in this episode. She left the rest inside her bag.
Yeah. After she takes that first hit, she's getting eaten out by that dude, and he's just like, all right, now it's time for me to fuck. And she's just like, fuck you, I'm going for more rock. And she goes and instantly buys more, and she just goes on a bender, basically. Like, she goes home, she lies in bed for like 2 seconds, and she's just like, I need more rock. And she fucking gets up, takes her dad's keys, sneaks out of the house, and she instantly finds Melody, because Melody knows where the crack's being sold at all fucking hours.
You mean Wanda? Melody.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Wanda. Yeah.
Melody is driving. She's driving her dad's car. She finds Wanda, who's all fucking cracked out, and you see in episode 10 what she used to look like. She looked like fucking monster, dude. She's all twitchy, and she's offering to be like, look, oh, you got money, like, let's get some rock. I mean, she's just gonna steal any rock she ever gets from her, but she reluctantly takes her in the car because she knows she could find it, and then she sends her into some house that Wanda takes her to, and as she's sitting out there, the car gets jacked, and then Wanda comes out with a rock and starts smoking it right on the curb, and she's all distressed about her fucking dad's car being stolen. But the minute she gets a hit of that rock, it's like she just forgets about it.
Yep.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, we can go to the skate rink, because she had a job at the skate rink, so she had the keys. So they both go there, and they're just like dancing around, skating, and smoking the crack rock until it runs out. Like, they should even say, I wish they had on the screen, like, 10 minutes later, like, because essentially, like, you think they're there for a long time. I bet you they're there for seriously like 30 minutes, like, and that's it.
Maybe,
but then the crack
at the
rock,
most, yeah.
Right, if they're lucky. And then they're just like, oh, where's the other rock? And it's like, oh, it looks like you stole that. I mean, it looks like you smoked it. And then all of a sudden, Wanda's just like, oh, you got to come off that necklace. Like, the fucking necklace her mom gave her, and she just fucking belts her, dude. And that just shows you what happens to these people, man. Like, they'll beat up their own mom.
The desperation. She smacks her in the face with her skate and steals the necklace.
Yeah. And then we see fucking Melody come back, and she finds Wanda and just like fucking knocks the shit out of her and takes her necklace back. But then, of course, later on we know that She
She
wound up
sells it.
selling it herself.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yeah.
Right. And we see when Franklin catches up with her the second. First of all, Franklin finds her. Man, that scene is crazy.
That
Just when
scene is creepy and it's tense because he's walking through this
you don't know
crack
what you're
house
gonna see.
and there's a scene in the bathroom where a woman is going down on a man. It's like, oh shit, that's Melody, but it's not. Great
Right.
directing by the writers,
Misdirecting.
and great. I mean, just tremendous. Because every time he looks through a door, you're thinking the worst thing, but no. When he finally finds Melody, she's sitting on the bed, smoking the rock, and she sees Franklin, and oh, Franklin, you came for me. Oh, hi, Franklin.
Yeah, but I bet you she probably did blow somebody. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't even know.
You don't know. You don't know. You just find it there sitting on the bed, and you see
Right.
another dude there, but he's like knocked the fuck out. I didn't do this.
No,
Just
but you
stretched
see,
out.
you see this crack house that he goes in, and basically he's seeing like kind of firsthand what he's created. You know what I
That's
mean? This
it. That's his
motherfucker.
creation. Nobody else. He brought
Right.
he brought that in.
Right. And he's just like these houses just like empty, and people are in this room just randomly sitting on a floor with no electricity, just fucking smoking a pipe, and just the patheticness of the whole scene, man, that it goes in there.
Do
It's
you
like this
know how
fucking
many
nightmare.
buildings like? Do you know how many buildings were like that in New York City from 1986 to 1994? There are where
Wow.
you live in downtown Brooklyn. It was all over. You know you got gentrification. Well, those crack houses are today's $1,500 to $3,000 a month rent in Harlem, Bedford-Stuyvesant, downtown Brooklyn, Bushwick, Williamsburg. Those apartments that all these people are paying all this money for were all crack houses, wound up being turned into condominiums.
Wow, that's crazy, man, because this
Mm-hmm.
shit is just, I mean, when you see the devastation, and then so he's seeing this, and it's like he's somehow able to just separate from it and be like, well, I'm making money, and it doesn't bother him, like it would bother so many other people. That's the difference. Like Franklin, it's like even his friend Leon is like, what, you think this shit like is so addictive? Like, why do you think we're making all this fucking money? Like, don't you ever put that together? Because he can't imagine that.
That's a great conversation and a great scene where Franklin is trying to tell Leon that his girl is better than his girl. Oh, Melody's too classy for that. He's going to Spelman. Wonder's a street bitch. And Leon's like, nah, man. Why you think we making all this money? It's the Rock.
Yeah,
Once
and
the Rock
he's
gets a
still in
hold
love
of you,
with her, and he's still in love with
yeah.
Wanda. That's what's so sad, like he's
He's
still
telling Franklin that Melody's same as Wanda, and Franklin's like, nah, Melody's better than Wanda. And Franklin winds up learning the hard way that Leon was right.
yeah. And he even when he goes and finds her the first time, takes her home, he tells her fucking father, he's like, don't let that bitch out of your sight. But I wish that he had said, hey, she's on the Rock. Like, you gotta fucking, you can't. I mean, and this dude tries, but there's nothing you can do. He even nails the fucking.
But he finds out the next episode. He finds out right away she's on the Rock. He didn't have to tell her. He told her. Franklin told him, if I was you, I wouldn't take my side off of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let her out on
By the way,
fire.
shout out to Damson Idris, British actor. I met him a year ago. Real humble dude. Got a thick British accent. You don't hear it. He sounds like he's from South Central LA. Why? He was taught how to speak that way by, remember the rap group West Side Connection that Ice Cube had years ago?
Yeah.
WC of that group is the guy who tutored Damson Idris how to speak South Central lingo.
Does a great job. I wouldn't have known.
Sometimes he overdoes it though.
He does.
Sometimes
He does.
Sometimes he overdoes it. You
I
better
noticed that
watch
too,
out
like,
for your daughter. Yeah.
I noticed some of his shit was a little too curled on the end. Like I was like,
Well,
all right,
he's
you're like,
trying to hide that accent. You don't hear
Right.
it at all in this series at all.
yeah, but you know what? I just thought it could be just a distinctive way that this guy talked. Like it could be that way.
And
yeah,
also, he could also say, well, I'm trying to add toughness to my voice. Like if you look at the storyline, if you're looking at just the character, he's emphasizing his words more because he's trying to be tough. He's trying to be tougher than what he
right.
is,
And when he
instead
goes
of
into the
instead
white,
of a guy overdoing the accent.
yeah, and when he goes into the white, I noticed when he went to the white settings, he didn't do it as much. He was toned it down a little bit. So I think
Mm-hmm.
there was some subtle variation there going on. He's a great,
Oh,
it's
that's a great actor. That's a great
right.
actor. And I've had to do the same thing throughout my whole life. There's two worlds you live in when you grow up in the inner city. You're living in your world where you talk, you let your guard down and you talk normal. Then when you go into corporate America or you're dealing with quote unquote white people, there's a different way you talk, and that's what Damson Idris illustrates and perfects in the Franklin character when he goes through both worlds. When he talks to Carter Hudson, who plays Teddy / Reed, he's not talking the same as when he talks to Jerome and Leon.
Yeah, yeah. And so
But when he talks to Avi, though, he talks like he talks in the street.
yeah. Well, Avi gave him his start, and the thing is Avi. That's a great scene too when Avi he's like, oh, I'll help you launder your money, and he has him fly out to this Caribbean place, and where is it? Where are they?
Panama.
Costa Rica. Panama. Okay.
Panama.
And he's trying to con him out of his money, and then he turns the tables on Avi by pretending to deposit his money somewhere else, and
he turned the tables on Avi twice, there in Panama, and when he goes to Javi's house and
You there? Oh shit, I lost you. Hold on,
Hello?
I'm trying to get you. Okay, go ahead.
He pulls twice. He turns the tables on Avi. First in Panama, and then when he brings his crew and they pull the guns on Avi's house on all of Avi's crew because Avi hasn't paid him his interest yet.
Right. They don't fucking wait around for it. Like they're like, give me my money, motherfucker. You owe
Avi's
it.
Avi's like a proud father. He's like, man, when you first came here, you were desperate. You tried to sell that 2 keys, and now look at you.
Yeah. But anyway, but he's kind of proud of him too, He's just
that's what I'm saying. That was pride. That was pride coming out of his voice.
Yeah, and so he ends up making a deal with Avi to get information on Reed.
On Teddy.
Because
because
he knows from his father's advice, who kind of dealt with double agents and shit, that once the fucking government, okay, you might be in bed with the government today, but tomorrow the government will flush your ass down the toilet. So you have to have some leverage.
Especially when after they're done using you. That's right.
Right.
And Franklin knows this. That's why he goes and gets the information on Reed.
So this is happening, okay. The CIA guy's wife, okay, there's a whole relationship thing with him. He has a kid with this other CIA agent. She's doesn't want anything to do with him. Then, he still goes and sees her. Eventually she gets wrapped up in his shit, but has an ulterior motive. She wants to shut this whole shit down and have him play the father in there, and then basically have him come back to Washington, get in some stuffy ass office, be a bunch of two CIA bureaucrats and live their life happily ever after. And this guy, he's become addicted to the adrenaline, I think.
But
what?
She has a point. She has a point, and she's right in a way, because she sees what's going on. She's like, wow, you're bringing all these drugs into the country. You're crazy. She wants to try to stop it before she loses her husband. So she went about it the wrong way. I mean, she sabotaged his entire operation, almost having everybody killed. Yeah,
almost had him killed because he was invited to.
Yeah, because they were going to chop him up. Now, does that happen in this episode or episode 8? Which episode is it when the Colombian guy brings him over and is going to kill him death style?
that I think I mean it's these 3 episodes blur together. They
Yes,
really you
yes, yes, yes.
picked a good 3 because they all it's like I can't really remember what happened in which. So it's good that we're talking about all 3. So
I believe it's episode 8. We're done with episode 7, so we go on to episode 8. And episode 8, you have that subplot, and what else you have? Okay, yes, you have Andre. Okay, episode 8. Before we get to you, perfect segue. You talked about Julia, who's Reed's wife. You talk about how she tries to shut down the operation. She goes to Andre's
I mean, she
house.
first goes to him.
She goes to
tries
Andre's
to get
house.
him to do it.
She goes to Andre's house, Officer Wright's house.
Right.
Now, Officer Wright is having problems because the beginning of episode 8, a spectacular montage of Melody selling everything in her bedroom, sneaking out the house, getting high, and her father crying because she cannot.
Yeah, he even nailed down the window shut, and she broke it open. I mean, just like
so she escapes. He can't find her.
lost.
And who comes knocking on the door? Julia. And Julia is trying to make a deal with Andre to bring down Franklin. Hello?
Hey, I'm back.
All right, you hear me? Go ahead. All right.
Yeah, so we get back like the Julia is she wants to she tells Jerome that
No, Andre.
I mean, she tells Andre that she's got all this information, you know, about where she knows where fucking because he's been trying to follow Franklin all this time, trying to find out where he's laying his head to try to search that, and he's been very good about keeping it a secret. But this CIA, you know, obviously she's in bed with Reed, so she knows exactly where the hideout is, and she tells Andre, and Andre goes there, and it looks like Andre, the only thing he really gives a shit about is to find his gun.
Yeah,
because pissed off.
I think first he was looking for cocaine. I think he was looking for cocaine as a way of busting Franklin, and there
was no cocaine.
But he finds millions of dollars, which this shows you how morally incorruptible, however you want to say it. He's not a corrupt cop. He's a good cop.
Right. He doesn't take one penny.
He doesn't take $1. He doesn't take $1. He's not interested in that. But so I think he was there to look for the cocaine. You know, call it in like but no. After a while, he starts searching for his badge and gun. He can't find it. He's ripping the whole apartment apart.
Right, but he finds the file.
He finds the file that Franklin has on Teddy that Avi had given him.
Right. And he knows now, like, holy shit, this whole thing is set up from the CIA, you know?
Yep.
And the funny thing is like that right there, like that should have told him, you know what, I should just fucking get out the game. Like at this point, it's just pointless, you know. If the CIA
but he's not going to because his
he
daughter
hates Franklin.
is fucked up. He hates Franklin, and he sees
and Franklin is responsible.
Yeah, Franklin is responsible, and so is and on a larger scale, the CIA is this guy that he wants to go after now. Now he wants to go after 2 people.
Yeah.
So he's not going to let this live. He's not going to let this die. It would be the right thing to do, but he's not going to because his pride is shot. Look, he's suspended from work. He's not working. Franklin not only fucked his daughter, fucked up his daughter by bringing in the drug that got her life completely destroyed. The community is being destroyed. I don't blame him. he's not thinking. He's thinking like a father. He's thinking like a proud black man. I cannot let this lie. So when he sees this, he goes to his partner and tells his partner. His partner tells him, "Look, you need to leave that shit alone. You need to leave that shit alone."
His partner, who ends up being crooked.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that because that's the next episode. So Andre's got this file, and Andre's going to do whatever he can to bring this down. His partner's not willing because his partner's like, remember this guy that used to work with us that was CIA? You know what he's doing now? He's a sniper shooting people off a roof and shit. You don't want to mess with these people, Andre. But Andre's not going to give it up. So Franklin figures out that Andre has the file, and meanwhile Melody is running around the streets getting high, and we forgot to talk about Gustavo, who's only being shown one scene per episode. He's building a tunnel from San Diego to Mexico.
Yeah.
Underground tunnel so he could transport the drugs without being caught by the authorities.
Yeah, there's like some weird subplot where the smugglers, the guy he's dealing with, that guy in the wheelchair, and his girl are like, they're being blackmailed by some guy
by her ex-husband. And he winds up throwing that motherfucker out the window, which is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, he deals with it as a pro wrestler gangster would.
He tells his buddy, where does he live? And so he's waiting in the guy's house. The guy walks home all big and bad like he just killed somebody. Gustavo grabs him and throws him out the window and walks away like nothing happened.
Yeah, that's the end of him. So Gustavo's just solving. Basically, Gustavo's become the kingpin of that part of the operation.
You know what I want to see for the show, and I hope eventually it happens? Remember, Franklin's idol was Uso, Gustavo's wrestling character. Franklin used to go to Gustavo's matches. That was his idol. Franklin was a big wrestling fan.
Oh, that's right. There was a scene.
And Gustavo,
there was a scene that like.
At the very first episode, Gustavo saved Franklin's life when he tried to sell cocaine to the Mexicans. They were gonna kill him, and Gustavo saved his life. I want to see them part. I want to see Franklin as the drug kingpin, and Gustavo as his right hand man.
That would be great. That would be really good. But also, did Franklin ever pay back that courtesy to Gustavo?
No, because Gustavo came to him in season 2 asking for the recipe. Talking about, look, I saved your life, and Frank was like, Uso, I respect what you did for me. I'm thankful that you did it for me, but I can't repay you by giving you the recipe.
He was keeping that. Yeah. At first, he was keeping that recipe real, tight to his vest, and the only person that was cooking the recipe was his aunt, and she was like the only one allowed to, and she got sick of it.
She quit and went back with the chick that Franklin, the madam, and so Franklin had to teach Kevin and Wanda how to cook the recipe, and they both wound up giving the recipe to other people. Kevin gave it to the Mexicans, and Wanda gave it to whoever would give a crack.
Right, and so it started to spread that way, but that ended up expanding his business because he went to them and was like, hey, like if you want to do this, just rock it up and I'll sell it to you. I mean, he kind of just ends up incorporating, when people have.
He becomes those guys' suppliers.
Right, and that's where he's trying to build to. He's trying to get out of this like the crack slinging game and just be like, we're just gonna front people keys and they're gonna give it to us. We're gonna be the key supplier because we got this pipeline. Right. Mm-hmm. Bottom bargain basement prices. We got keys, and he wants that to be their ultimate business. And he's already everybody's got this fucking rock recipe, so they're gonna sell it and they're gonna want more and more coke. I mean, it's fucking terrible, but this is how it's going. So yeah, I think that we should go back to the CIA wife. So she's making noise also with the DEA because the DEA agent is gone, and the guy that was her partner is looking for her. And we see a scene where they the CIA guy fucking helps Gustavo just pour acid on her and dissolve her entire body. This motherfucker's become a cold-blooded killer, and he's doing coke too.
He enjoyed killing that woman because that woman he got shot because of her, and Lucia's gone, and she was involved with Pedro, so he was happy to dissolve that bitch.
Well, too, but he was very shocked when he sends her to fucking be the meetup, the point person, and Gustavo and had just almost got killed because of her, So it's
so
like,
he blows her away right away. He shoots her.
Yeah,
she dies instantly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the next scene. It's just it's the next moment. Like you just see him pulling out a gun and fire, and then you don't know what happened until the next episode. But in that episode,
right,
she's gone, and so when I think that's when she realizes, the wife realizes, like, this shit's really fucked up. When she learns about the DEA agent, and she learns about it from the Colombian drug lord. When the Colombian drug lord's like, "Oh, you're super cool. You're not like that fucking DEA puta." So. And so then fucking Reed, who reads lips, by the way, is like true CI master.
Yep.
He read this Kingpin's lips that he fucking mentioned the DEA agent, and so he knows that she knows that she was murdered, and he even admits it. And that's when I think she realizes, like, dude, this shit is fucked up. You're allowing people to just murder DEA agents like that, and you're not even gonna arrest them for that. Like, what is this all about? So it's like, well, obviously it's not about arresting anyone. They're more criminal than any of these people because they're the ones spearheading this. And even that Colombian drug lord says that. He's like, you guys are more criminal than me, man. Like, and we are, like, fucking A. And so when she starts blowing up everything and trying to basically blow all the assets that are being used by Reed, Reed almost gets murdered. Fucking, I think it leads to the cop father getting killed. I mean, it's just Andre getting killed.
Let's get to that. Let's get to that scene. That scene was. That's the scene that this is the episode and the scene, and we're in season 3, episode 8, the very final scene where Franklin figures out that Andre stole the file. Franklin breaks into the through the window like he did every time he went to get make love with Melody, and pulls a gun on Andre. He tells Andre, "I want my file back." And he's got Andre's gun. He pulls Andre's gun on him, and Andre's like, "All right, Franklin, here's the file. I know what you're doing." And then Franklin's like, "Look, I'm going to give you a chance. Just like you gave me a chance. I want you to get Melody, get the hell out of here, never come back." And Andre's like, "All right, Franklin, I'm going to take my daughter. I'm going to get her cleaned up. Then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to bring you and your people down." And Franklin was like, and Andre signed his death warrant when he goes, "You're not a killer. I know you're not a killer, Franklin. You're not going to shoot me." Franklin
He's not going to kill a
file
cop in his own house.
In his own house. Franklin walks by him. Franklin says, "You know, you're right. I'm not a killer," and blows his brains out.
Yeah, and he is
unfucking real, Michael Corleone style when he killed the cop in The Godfather.
Same and even crazier because this is the guy who raised him, took him to the crack house to show him, don't become like this. Like, basically is responsible for why this dude never did an ounce a drug in his life. You know what I mean? This dude is like clean.
Kept him safe while his father was sleeping in the streets.
Yeah, and this motherfucker is clean. You know, that's one thing about Franklin. He's never done any of this shit. Like, I don't think he ever does it, right? In the whole entire three seasons.
No, because he adheres to the drug dealers.
Don't get high.
Don't get high on your own supply, which brought down Tony Montana. Brought down a lot of drug lords were brought down by not adhering to that policy. Frankly,
yeah, we even We see
We
Reed
even
doing
see
it.
Reed is beginning to snort cocaine, and like I said, the writers of the show just don't throw the shit in there just to throw it in there. That could play something on down the line. You notice now, every time Reed has to deal with a stressful situation, he takes out a line and snorts it before he deals with that situation.
Yeah, and what happens to his brother is tragic too. Like they force him to snort so much coke that he's basically like a vegetable.
Yeah, and his brother's forced to retire and can't help him anymore because he had a heart attack first episode of this season.
Yeah, and he's just a mess now. And he used to be like the picture of health.
A cocaine-induced heart attack. Yeah.
Yeah. So this dude's like, I mean, his whole nervous system is fucked because he was held at gunpoint and made to snort like line after line after line.
48 straight hours.
Yeah. And then just because, like, I don't know, because some deal went sour. But the whole idea is that this dude has sacrificed so much for this operation that it's become almost like an addiction to him too.
Look, he lost his brother. He lost his brother almost died, and he had to he had to take his brother out of it. He lost his wife and his son, all because of the girl that he tried to help. She got killed. So look at all the DEA agent murdered. Look at all the lives that are lost. And well, I'll get that when we talk about the final scene in episode 10.
But he's a true he's a true believer though. I mean, he's a true believer. He really thinks he's helping.
Him and Franklin both believe the same thing. They both believe they're doing this evil shit for the betterment of their people. Teddy for the betterment of the United States, and Franklin for the betterment of black people and his community. They both believe that they're doing the right thing. They both know it's illegal, but they both think there's a greater good to this. And it's not. It's not. It's not. And what I love about Snowfall, unlike Power, unlike Breaking Bad, they show you the ramifications of the drugs that these anti-heroes are bringing on the show that they're dealing. You see what happened to Wanda. You see what happened to Melody, and you see what's happened to the community. That's the ramifications. These other programs, The Wire did the same thing. The Wire showed the ramifications of drug use. These other programs like Breaking Bad and Power, they glorified the drug use without really showing the ramifications. We know that we have an opioid crisis in this country, and Breaking Bad never really delved into that. They delved into the fight for the drug, but they didn't delve into the fight to try to the fight that's going on because of the drug.
Yeah, they rarely showed the user.
Yeah.
They rarely showed a user. You notice it was all dealers.
In Breaking Bad, the only user they really showed was my man, the Pinkman and his crew. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But The Wire and Snowfall shows the drug addicts out there, the zombies walking around, the ramifications of the drugs, not the glory behind it. Breaking Bad was basically all these guys fighting over this drug that's making millions of dollars. But they don't show the ramifications. Same thing with Power. You got Ghost and Tommy fighting, and 50 Cent, before he got killed on the show, fighting for trying to keep making this money, but they don't show the adverse effects of the drug. Snowfall and The Wire does. And Snowfall is going to get worse because they got renewed for a fourth season, and we already know from experience, from living through these years, that it's only getting worse.
So you're saying like this is just the beginning, what we've been seeing so far is like
Remember,
of what?
This crack started in the Bay Area and then spread to Los Angeles. It got to New York late 84, early 85 from my recollection, because I remember how my neighborhood started changing as early as 1985, 86, to the point, Logan, I was living in New Orleans for a few years. When I came back in 1989, the projects that I grew up in, the Millbrook projects in the South Bronx, the playgrounds were an open area drug market. I mean, the cops weren't doing shit. And back then, Logan, you remember, they had housing police. Now, NYPD is all unified. Back then, you had transit, you had regular NYPD, transit police, and housing police. You didn't see a housing cop a mile away from the projects. Motherfuckers was out in the open selling crack like they were selling Wendy's hamburgers. It was
no shit.
and at dark at night after 10 o'clock when it was dark, it was the night of the living dead. Because I'd come out of work at 1 o'clock in the morning because the time I was working till midnight. I was going to college during the day and working at night. 1 o'clock in the morning as I'm walking from my subway stop 2 blocks away to my apartment building. I'm walking into women trying to suck my dick for $1 so they get high. Oh, God, suck your dick for $1, baby. Get the fuck out of my face. Dudes selling on the corner, hey, you want this rock? Hey, what the fuck? Leave me a fuck alone. They had different names for it. Oh, we got that Tango and Cash. Motherfucker, I don't know Tango and I don't know Cash. Get the fuck out of my face. Like, whatever was the hit movie or hit show or hit song,
right.
That was the name of the product. And I had to walk through that shit every fucking night. And when I get to I had to walk through the playground. And motherfuckers out there flinging with immunity. They wasn't worried about no cops. There was no undercover cops trying to bring the shit down. They was selling it like fire. I was like, the fuck. So, season 4, it's going to probably show how it branches out to other cities, other urban areas, because it started in California, but within the next 2 or 3 years, it went to New York, Newark, New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois. I remember when I was living in New Orleans, around 88, 89 is when it got to New Orleans, Louisiana, Houston, Texas. It was all over the United States, and every second. It wasn't in rural America. It was all in urban America. You had white people that wanted to crack, drive into Harlem, drive into the South Bronx, drive into sections of D.C. and Philly and Camden just to get the crack.
Right. So let's get to season. Episode 9.
So we finished 8. He killed. So episode 9 begins. And episode 9 is called Blackout. Season 3, episode 9 is called Blackout. And it opens with, once again, I make this comparison and this analogy because it's on the money. You see Franklin sitting at a poolside in a lounge chair while the crime scene at Andre's house is being investigated. It was eerily similar to Michael Corleone at the end of both Godfathers, when he's thinking about the murders and the murders that are happening, like when his brother gets murdered in Godfather 2, when the guy that beat up his sister, his brother-in-law gets murdered, and he's sitting there, just thinking while all this shit is going down. That's Franklin. He's sitting there while they're doing it, while Melody is crying, while his parents are being interrogated. He's sitting there at his rich white friend's house, a guy that helps him sell the cocaine and the crack in the white community. And he goes over with the white kid. Hey, I was here last night. And the white kid helps him. Was like, well, you woke up at this time because that's when the garbage trucks come by. And, of course, his alibi is going to be solid because the cops are going to believe a white rich kid over any black person.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that it's almost like they don't even give a shit. They rule it a suicide, and like in today's forensic, they would be able to tell. I think.
Well, in 1984, DNA hasn't even been brought in yet.
Right. Well,
and
DNA
remember,
and also
Franklin
spatter.
is smart. Franklin shot him in the head at point blank range, and then put the gun in Andre's hand. So
right.
it would fit the trajectory of a suicide.
Right. But even I think today they would be like, oh no, this gun was fired from like 2 feet away. They'd be able to tell. But back then, I don't think they had any of that technology.
It wasn't as progressive as it is today.
Yeah.
Right.
But in any case, so they believe it, and it's like they don't even really try that hard to look, and that just shows you they don't take. In a neighborhood like that, in another black death.
If it was a white cop, it would have been a totally different story. But it's a black cop that already had a black mark on his record from the prostitution scandal. Okay?
Yeah.
From the
so he
prostitution
looked like
scandal.
A crooked cop.
So he
Yeah.
already looked like a crooked cop, and his daughter's getting high all the time. You know
Right.
what? Fuck it, it's a suicide. And so his partner, Officer Nixon, who's sitting there and listening to all these guys talk about, oh well, you know, he went to Vietnam, his daughter's a basehead, he's at war with his kid. I could see he lost his job. He's suspended from the job. He lost his badge and gun. I could see him doing himself. And another cop goes, well, you know that Saint kid making $1 million a week, and he was after him. And then, you know, it gets to Nixon's head, right? Now, Melody figures out while she's smoking crack in the house by looking at the window. The window's open. Somebody broke in, and she knew every time she gave Franklin ass, he'd go through that window. So she went straight to Nixon's house, Officer Nixon's house. And, wow, talk about irony. They throw in that he